Hey guys, welcome to our first tutorial video where I'm gonna hopefully show you guys how to make some really cool stylized assets. It's gonna be really beginner friendly, so if you don't have any experience whatsoever, then this video should be still very easy to follow along with. So let's just jump into the assignment. What I would like to do in this particular video is make something like, let's see, something like this. I would like to make a rock that has these cool signs in there that glow up a little bit. It's not gonna be a ball, it's gonna be more of an actual rock. Let's see if we can find something like this. It has to be a rock. But it's gonna be part of the NPC that we've shown in the previous video. Now why that is there is still gonna be a mystery, but it has to be there. There has to be some stones that revolve magic. So that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna make a rock, and yeah, that's gonna be the assignment for today. We're gonna make a rock. We're also gonna probably texture it a little bit. I'm not really that much of a texture guy. But yeah, I'm gonna show you guys at least how to make the glowing effect, because I think that's quite important. And I'm pretty sure that I actually already have an example of what I've done with that. Yeah, here it is. Here's a video. Oh, music is still on. 1 second. All right, so this is an enemy I've made. Now we're not entirely sure if we're gonna use this one. Big spoiler, by the way. But as you can see, this is also a rock monster, like one of those elemental monsters that World of Warcraft has as well, but not like this. This is like a step further, more ancient. But as you can see, this is literally just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rocks, and I've kind of given the rocks some shape that indicate that these are shoulders, hands, and a torso and a head. That's literally it. So this is more advanced than what we're gonna do today, but this is just to show that it's super easy to make something really interesting and artistic that's just simply gonna look really cool without having to put too much effort into it, which is something that's quite important if you're in the studio, because you don't have like years and years and years to make stuff. So being able to quickly make things that look good, that's just really important. So let's just jump right into it. Alright, so we're gonna make a rock. So you should probably have a cube in there and a camera and a light as well. Please, I still have the camera and light as well. I'm just gonna delete those with delete. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna do is Shift A, and we are going to bring back that cube. Then what we're gonna do is we are going to tap into it, gonna press subdivide, and then we're simply just going to select one of these dots and then make sure that press 1 or press this button over here to have the vertex selects mode, because geometry is also always either a face, an edge, or a dot, which is something you should have learned if you had math at school. If you did not choose that subject, then here you go. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna move stuff a little bit, and I'm gonna assure you not to worry about how it looks. I simply want you to stretch stuff, grab some edges. Now the only thing I want you to do is to make sure that the bottom part is a bit flat, just a little bit, and that's about it. So make sure to, just like me, go into Pinterest and find rocks or anything like that to make sure you have some form of shape. Like this one at the beginning, the bottom is a bit wider than the top. At the moment, it's like it's one vertex, but we want a bit different. So that what we're gonna do, bring this up, bring this up, bring this up, bring this up. All right. Now, if you have something like this, which looks absolutely terrible, good job. That's what we want. What we don't want is too sharp edges, so I'm bringing these in a little bit. All right, so personally, and this is obviously personal, I just love sculpting. I like how the organicness works. I like to add geometry over there, and I don't like to do that here. So what I would normally do is go here in object mode, go to sculpt mode, and I would straight away start sculpting. So I would go to remesh. This function, I believe, is not there in 2.8 and lower. I think it's only in 2.81 and above that. What I would do then is go to voxel size and do 0.03, enter, and remesh. So now if we press tab, you can see that we have a lot of vertices. And what I'd like to do then is simply grab the elastic deform tool and start pulling. As you can see, it gets a little bit bubbly, which is great. I would also hold shift and smooth things out a little bit. Go. Alright, cool. Now what we're gonna do to make the shape a bit more interesting is we're gonna use the mask tool. So if we go back, you can see that sometimes these rocks have like a part that kind of sticks out a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do as well. So this is a bit too flat. So what I'm gonna do is press M. With F, I'm gonna decrease the brush size. You can do it like that. Then bring the strength up. There we go. Control I. And then we're gonna grab this here. Gonna use the move tool. And then we're gonna bring this out. Boom, just like that. It's super easy. It's super easy. And then we're gonna press Alt M. And as you can see, literally doing that already gives the geometry a lot more body. You can already see like just doing that looks great. Alright, so this edge is a bit too sharp, and I have a trick for that. You can either use the flatten tool, this, start doing this, but I feel like that's not really working too well. So what I would normally do is I would go to file and append some brushes into here. I will leave a link to these brushes that are being provided by one of these Blizzard ex-employees who are really good, and they've made these brushes available for a ZBrush, and then somebody else converted them to Blender brushes because these work a bit different. So what I would normally do is go file, append, downloads, because that's where I have them. Brushes or brushes for Blender 3D. That's the one we need. And then you see this Blender icon, and then we go to brush, and then these AJ orb thingies. I think the guy's name's AJ who made this. You select all of those and then append. And then what you'll see is if you go to flatten, if you press this icon, oh, that's the wrong one. My apologies. It's not here. I believe it's here. Yeah, under scrape. You now see these two. These are from AJ, and this is the normal one. And as you can see, this one has some really nice stuff in there. So if we scale this up, as you can see, boom, beautiful. This brush is gonna save you a lot of time. So if we do this like here, nope, that looks terrible. So this really gives that nice crisp edge to rocks. There we go. Oh, that's nice. Like these happy accidents, for example, that's gonna make your rock look really good. Like really good. Yeah, that's just kind of how I do this. Just sculpting away right away. Because I don't like having to model a lot. I just simply like to get straight into modeling. Just gonna repeat the same process. So masking, invert it with Control I, use the move tool, and then bring it out a little bit. There we go. Now there's also something else to give this a bit more geometry, and that's if you go to, yeah, this one. This one's not the one, I think. Yeah. So if you go to clay strips, you see this really interesting brush. So if you do this, you can see if the strength's not that high, it's not really adjusting the geometry. So if you just want it to be like a projectile, that's fine. But I personally like to put up the strength all the way. Make sure to put front face only, because if I do this, if your mesh is not as thick as mine, you will see that there's gonna be a hole here. Maybe if I do it here, yeah, you get artifacts like this, which is not what we want. Just gonna Control Z that and then front face only. So if you use this, for example, if we do that over here, boom, better, much better. There we go. And I simply like to use this to give more of a rock shape. Okay, that's a bit overkill. Put it like this. And this just gives it a overall better shape to the rock. Now, some places might be a bit too much, and then I would simply go back to the scrape tool and yeah, just smooth things out that are a bit messy and make them a bit better. Alright, so depending on your PC, I can imagine that 0.03 could be much for your computer. And then I would suggest to just start lower. I mean, modeling is quite consuming for your PC. So yeah, if that happens, that's totally fine. But if you're really serious, you might have to eventually consider doing some upgrades to your PC. I'm not saying that you can't make really awesome stuff with a more low-end PC, which is not the case. You can obviously very easily do that stuff. But if you want to make really high rendered stuff, then yeah, you probably have to kind of look into that kind of into those kind of upgrades. Okay, so let's see. So now I simply just like to use the pinch tool to make these cracks or these transition parts a bit more noticeable. Doesn't have to be too much. Okay, go. All right, looking good. Don't want this. All right, sure this is flat. All right, awesome. All right, so what we want to do now is probably have one more of those rocks over here. There we go. And I think I'm gonna just simply do this a little bit to add a bit more of those, just geometry, like adding that stuff. There's not like a rock or anything, just adding on top of it and then smoothing it out a little bit. Go. Maybe a bit on top. And then once again using the flatten tool to give it that more of a rock feel. So how does this look so far? I like to give it a material under here, the colored icons, this one, new, and then give it a gray. Now if you're making stylized assets, as you can see, it looks a bit shiny at the moment, which is not what we want. So we have to bring the roughness up and the specularity down, like this. Okay, cool. Just gonna back. One big tip, if you're in material preview mode, it's gonna be way more consuming for your computer. So if you're just in solid mode, it's way better. Alright, so I'm really happy with this. It's not super detailed, like at some points you still have this visible. So depending on your PC, you could even remesh to 0.01, and then you have to kind of add more detail. I'm not sure if my computer is gonna handle this while recording, so I'm just gonna remesh, see if it works. It's obviously gonna take a while. It did work, great. But as you can see, at the moment I'm at 800,000 faces. So if I press tab, yeah, that's a lot of vertices. So yeah, now if we were to add, for example, like cracks or anything like that, like this, that's gonna be really visible. It's gonna look really good because we have much more geometry to play with. So we place it over there. All right, so now obviously we want that those gaps in there, that's gonna represent where the glow is going to come from. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the first one, and then I'm gonna go to this one. Cool. Let's see how deep this is. Okay, that's a bit too much. So I'll probably go to 0.2. Yeah, that's way better. Okay, so now we kind of have to think of things we want to add. So if I just go back, you can see that there's just cracks all over the place. So we could probably do that too. By the way, if you do have a pen tablet, this would be a great starting point to use one. I normally model without pen because it's definitely possible, but if you want to have like a nice tight end, like this is just, I can show you guys the difference. 1 second. This is like that. No, I can't. I have to then switch monitors. Sorry guys. Okay, let's just start adding these details in. So what I would like to do is I'd like to start over here. Just go completely random. Go over here. Oh, nope. And then I'm gonna split up. There we go. Alright, cool. Still want to have a look at my reference. Yeah, so there are like a lot of, there's like the big ones, and then there's a few that are a bit tiny. So I'm just gonna make a little smaller. Have this go like this. There we go. And then like this. Awesome. All right, so we're also gonna have to do the same thing on the other side. Make this a bit bigger. And just, it's not, oh, that's not what we want. Careful not to make some artifacts. That's not good for your mesh. Okay, there we go. Then it combines here. Have another one. Go over here. And a last stroke. Go over here. Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. Like that. Okay, so now just gonna add a few smaller ones. Obviously this doesn't have to be perfect. You could, however, do some really cool stuff with this. Like for example, you could hide some sort of secret message in here. Oh, careful guys with this. Just smooth this out. This is gonna be noticeable in the baking process. Alright, simply just going to add a few more and then we're done. Don't want to make this tutorial too long. Alright, this is gonna be a great moment to save. Just gonna do this tutorial. You probably should have saved a bit sooner than I've done, but my apologies. Alright, so now we have a rock that is ready to be retopologized. Now, I'm gonna teach you guys something that's not the best way of doing it, but it's definitely the fastest way to do it. So what I would normally do is I would go back to object mode, select it, Control or Shift D, and then press I, Y on the keyboard. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm simply just gonna go to modifiers and start to desanimate it by 0.15. That's probably gonna take a little while because he has to calculate. All right, perfect. So now it's gone from 800,000 to 200. This is a great deal. But we're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna bring it back to somewhere around 1,000. 1,000 is a good amount, especially since this shape is quite basic. So yeah, do it again. 0.15, and then it's gonna be 38,000. That's already way better. And then one more time. 5,000, and then last time 0.3, and then bring it back to let's just do 700, something like that. So you can see a great difference. Now if you were to make a low poly game, here's your low poly rock. But if you're making a stylized game like I do and you want to have these details, then I'm gonna show you guys what to do. So the first thing we're gonna do is shade smooth. There we go. Look like this. Then tap A, U for unwrapping. We're gonna use the smart unwrapping, the lazy mode. And all we need to do is items margin has to be open by 3. Go. Okay, so now it's unwrapped. So now what we gotta do is go to shading, and we are going to have to make a material. So this is gonna be rock 1 bake material. There we go. Alright, so here's what we're gonna need to do. We need 2 things to bake. First, we need a image texture. There we go. And then we're gonna need a normal map. Because a normal map is basically just an image. That's all it is. So what we're saying is use this image as a normal map and then put it in the material. So color is gonna go into color and normal is going into normal. Alright, so naming, really important. Rock 1 normal map. This is important because you're gonna have more of these, and if you're handing this over to the level designer or not, and he has to guess what image goes where, then he's not gonna be too happy with you. So just name it correctly. Okay, so I did ×4 in there, so ×4 because I want a 4K baked image, and I use this 30-bit float. Okay, and I set color space to non-color, and then you simply have to make sure that this is selected. If it's like this, it doesn't know where to bake things on. So select this, then I'm gonna click this one, press Alt G to reset the position. I'm gonna go into here to the scene render properties. Fortunately, Eevee doesn't have a bake option yet, so we have to go to cycles Then we're gonna go to bake. We're gonna go bake type normal. Selection to active. Now I normally put this to 0.2. Depending on how sophisticated your thing is, it might have to be 0.1 or 0.5. Try to kind of see what works best for you. And this is interesting. Influence. At the moment I have to set this to -y because we're using with Unreal. We're using Unreal. Technically I could leave it this way and we could do it in engine, which is it's fine. Let's just keep it like this to not have anyone being confused. But technically, if you don't want to change the normal map in the engine and you want it to just be usable right away, you'd have to change it here. And I'm not sure how it works with Unreal, but these are the RGB maps. So if we go to UV editing, texture, where can we see this? That's a bit weird. Oh, we still need to bake. I'll show you guys once I'm done with baking. So then what you have to do is name these correctly. So this is going to be rock1 underscore L. And this is going to be rock1. L indicating that's the low poly version. So then you select the high poly and then the low poly. Low poly has to be highlighted and the other one has to be a bit darker orange. And then you press bake. Now this shouldn't take too long. But what you guys will see is that the normal map is currently black because we made it non-color. And now it's going to bake onto this image and then it's going to be this really interesting purple. There we go. Then we get something like this, which looks great. All this beautiful color. If we were to switch this, this would look a bit different. The color would still be the same, but you can see that this one is whole and otherwise would be a bit different. Just try to rebake it. This took like 10 seconds. You can clearly see a difference, and that's just simply how some engines handle normal maps. So now we have our normal map. So if I were to hide the high poly, you can clearly see how nicely the detail has been added. Like if I look how low poly this is, but it still has all the details and it's only 700 faces. You could have a ton of these in your scene without having any issues with performance. So this is great. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys something real quick. I'm gonna Control C the normal map, Control V, and then I'm gonna bring this up. I'm gonna delete the normal map because it's already here. Then I'm gonna drag this one in here. There we go. Awesome. So now it's black because there's no information. So let's just call this rock underscore albedo. And albedo simply stands for color map. Okay. So now we have this, and this looks good. Holy shit. Cool. Alright, so we go to texture paint mode and then select the albedo. Select this one here as well. We're gonna see that we can use the color thingy here and start paint on it. Lovely. So I'm gonna reduce the strength a little bit. Just gonna do a basic thingy. Go. So the great thing about being able to texture your own models is you can paint where the light is coming from. So for example, at the bottom here, there's not going to be any light. Could be not true, but that's just how I feel like the lighting would go. Same goes for here. I think it's going to be darker here and going to be lighter at some spots over here. There we go. Awesome. Cool. Hopefully add a little bit more here. Alright, so I feel like this area is a bit too... Just want to drop a few dots in here. Now, normally, a lot of people would go to Substance Painter, which is totally fine. If you know how to use Substance Painter, hit me up because I want to learn it too. But I feel like hand painting like this, or exporting it to Photoshop, looks a bit better, in my opinion. If you really want that hand painted stuff, look and feel. If that's not really what you're going for, then Substance Painter is probably better. But for what we're making, this is perfect. Alright, so now what we have to do is Control C, Control V again. No. We need something else. We need a mix shader. And I'm not sure if it's a mix shader RGB or just a mix shader. It's RGB. Mix RGB. Okay, like this. So what we're going to do is bring the color in here. Oh, and the color in here. And then color in here. Okay, so we don't see anything yet, but what we're going to do here is we're going to name this glow. There we go. And we are going to kind of have to see what I want to do here. Just do this, see what happens. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to have some sort of emission going. So I should probably... I'm probably gonna have to do this live because I kind of forgot how to do it. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this layer to light things up. And this one is gonna be just a basic texture. So what I'm gonna do is go to texture paints, and then I'm simply going to use the color blue. I'm simply gonna roughly paint into these pits. Gonna rush this a little bit because I don't want the video to be too long. Go. Wait, I think I remember. I'm gonna have to make this completely black. Oops. Wait, can we use the bucket tool? Nice. Alright, great. Yeah, so what we want to do now, since black's not going to be visible in the alpha, like white's visible and black not, then that's a better way to do it. Okay, this is going to be visible. Okay. Probably gonna speed this part up a little bit because this is just a matter of tracing. Go here. Now if you kind of go out of the lines, you can just grab the black and erase. It's that easy. Alright, this is looking really cool already. so another tip I have is that it's really important to understand that if people play video games, they don't just stop and look at every single rock. It is really important that you sometimes just step back, zoom out, and just think, how's the overall look and feel of it? Because I'm probably just gonna walk by it, and this rock is going to influence me, but I'm not gonna look at it for half an hour and walk around it, unless some people are like really interested, like, how was this made? So it's really important to select which areas you want to make really detailed, in case somebody really starts to dig into what you've made so far. But overall, the rock itself, it's just gonna be ignored. But since it adds to the overall feel of the environment, it's still a crucial component. But just make sure you don't spend like 10 hours on one rock, because from my experience, people are focused on the game and not on the rocks. They just simply add. So I'm gonna save again. Alright, so now I really have to figure out how to make this part glow. Emission, color. Okay, so I think I start to remember how this works. There we go, guys. Awesome. Alright, so this mix shader is not necessary. Beautiful. It's so beautiful. Okay, so it looks a bit weird at the moment. Strength is a bit too high, I think. But yeah, if we go to render mode, we're gonna be able to see the glow. Well, we're not seeing anything yet because we have to enable some settings. If we go back into the render properties, go up and go back to Eevee. If we enable bloom, ta-da, and ambient occlusion as well. Just gonna enable some other things like shadow. It doesn't really matter too much. So now you can see that we can really enable the glow. So yeah, this is pretty cool. Now our rock is glowing, and it's really just a matter of kinda. Okay, so at the moment we don't really see the rock, so if we maybe add a little bit of a point light and adjust the radius a little bit. Yeah. Let's make this dark blue. Because we obviously want to hint that the only color in here, or the only light, is coming from the rock itself. But it could be a bit difficult to see. Light, sun, there we go. Cool. Let's just reduce this a little bit. Make this orange, blue. Cool, awesome. Alright, so not sure if we're gonna see these artifacts in the final render, but Shift A, camera, then I'm just gonna find a nice angle. Feel like this is looking good. Control Alt O. Then we're gonna press F12. Okay, so now you're thinking that either looks really cool or it doesn't, in your opinion. That's because it is also rendering the high poly, which is not what I want. So what I have to do is either delete this one, rock 1, and move it over here. And now if we press F12, we only have our rock. Now, if you're not happy with this color, which is in my case what's happening, I'm pretty sure that you can change the color here in the shader. Something like this. Here in the shader, you're probably going to be able to change the overall color. But that's how I would make a stylized rock, like this. And I think if we go into cycles and make a quick render, it's probably going to look even better. I'm not sure about that. Okay, so cycles doesn't really do glow, I think. Nope, I think that's just Eevee. Film. No, sorry guys, we have to stick to Eevee. But yeah, that's my tutorial for you guys, how to make a simple rock. Now, obviously, if you don't want to have all these cracks in there, that's fine. That's totally fine. I think I'm also gonna just do this for the moment. But the great thing is you can simply tweak. Like if you think, I like this light gray, you can just use a simple material like this. If you're like, no, I want to have control over where the light's coming from in my scene, then you can make one. So yeah. But the most important thing is that you guys learned how to make a low poly, a high poly, a bake, and how to unwrap. Those kind of things. Those are really important. And you're going to be able to use this method with literally anything. Characters, buildings, anything. The only difference is that I really used a organic workflow for this. And for buildings, you only sculpt detail and you don't start creating new meshes, because that's gonna look a bit weird, like muddy. It looks like your building's gonna look muddy. So I hope you guys found this tutorial interesting. I hope maybe learned something. If you guys would like a different kind of tutorial, then let me know. Maybe I can help. Maybe we can do a video on how to make trees or bushes, because I can do that as well. That's even easier if you know how to draw. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.